we standardize the care or the terminology with which we capture data. But you took the point further, Shankara, and said, let's aspire to some higher standards. I think there are two people in the audience who are not up here with us, but one is Anne Jacobson from the Joint Commission International. Thank you, Anne, for being with us. Through the Joint Commission, I think what India has shown to the world is that we can benchmark and achieve standards that are being practiced in any hospital anywhere in the world. And I think Anupam Sibal is somewhere here, but the Apollo Clinical Excellence Model is a model that captures not the standards of, what infrastructure do you have, not the process of how do you deliver care and what are your care guidelines, but more importantly, what is the outcome. And I think accreditation has moved from facility to process to outcome. And it's in that, I think, that we truly aspire to set new global standards. And Dr. Reddy, our chairman, is here with us. And from the very beginning, he said we benchmark. And so sometimes when a doctor or somebody would tell him, sir, we've done this, he said, this is very good, but what does Mayo do? This is outstanding, but what does Cleveland Clinic do? And setting the bar continuously to say we benchmark with the best in the world is really the journey for Indian hospitals. Whether we're doing a delivery and we want our maternal mortality rates to be the lowest in the world, or we're doing a complex heart transplant or a liver transplant and we want our survival rates to be the best in the world. Whether we're talking about patient education and we want our prevention to be the best in the world in any area, let's benchmark with the best in the world and find ways to do that. So, Shankara, we've heard your message. The hospital providers in the room have heard you. Can we move?
I think the risk of repeating some important aspects which have been said about data, it's like you mentioned, the different hospitals at the top tier in India have developed their own softwares, but the softwares don't talk to each other. So perhaps an Apollo data and a Fortis data and a Max data can't be compared.
Sign the Cyberbat Declaration.
Absolutely. So one example I wanted to share in the 80s, in the 1985 to 2000, BD worked very closely with a lady called Janine Jagger in the University of Virginia and built a huge amount of data on healthcare worker safety incidents in US, which finally resulted in a software called EpiNet, which BD has been propagating across the world. It belongs to the University of Virginia, not us, and we are obligated to sell it, to actually install it free of cost, irrespective of whether they are using BD's products or not. That has generated a whole amount of data, which is comparable across the world.
So Rajneesh, tell us in 1-2 lines, what is EpiNet? What does it do?
So EpiNet is basically a software which allows you to enter every incidence of needle stick injury or accidental blood exposure to a healthcare worker. And that enables a lot of analysis from there. For example, Janine Jagger was able to give a lot of guidance to companies like ours to say, look, in this device, 80% of the injuries happen during waste disposal. Or in this device, 60% of the injuries happen during usage. And that has gone into R&D efforts to develop products which can prevent needle stick injuries. More fundamentally, your point about legislation. Bill Clinton signed into law in 2001 as a result of this data, the law which made mandatory use of safety engineered devices for needle stick injury prevention. And that's the power of data, not just at the individual hospital level to use and to encourage evidence-based practice and protocols within the hospital and to benchmark with other hospitals, but also for the country to adopt a common standard and then a common policy out of it, which can then be mandated. Some small beginnings have made, Mr. Gyani presented the data out of NABH hospitals, but the fact is that that is still voluntary. The fact that NABH itself is voluntary. So the submission of data therefore becomes voluntary. The day should come when probably there's a central repository and the data can go into that to guide country-wide policies, not just at a hospital-wide level. And I think some of the work that BD did then and some of the work that we are doing now, there's a software we are working on called BD Protect. And we're going to do a pilot in 8 hospitals in India to see how it works. It can even be integrated to your HIS and LIS and pick up data from there automatically. It's for HAIs, it's for needle stick injuries and various other infections.
So I think that sounds really fascinating. What I would really request Rajneesh for you to do is to find ways to share and educate more of this. I think there's a lot of work in spreading this information which is relevant and critical. Request you to really help us share this information further. And the days when, when you can really feel good is, I'm sure Apollo Hospital will take it up and Medanta will do it as well. But when you can say that a 20-bed nursing home is practicing on EpiNet and we find a way to put them all together, that's when you've really succeeded. That'll be the day. Let's look to that.
Thank you.
Tracy, some insights from you. What is the one thing you'd tell hospital providers across the country to adopt towards patient safety?
Well, I would also not only suggest, rather perhaps than tell, because I'm doing far too much telling and then I get lynched, but suggest to hospital providers, but also I would say governmentally, accreditation board, the national momentum in India, because nothing is separate. You know, if you want to really drive improvements in quality and safety, it's the country that has to do that. There's no point in any country having significant diverse inequities. It is about the collective. My urge is not to forget the fact that with fantastic technology that enables data, it's us as humans that realise the benefits for every patient and professional interaction to make that safer. And having worked in jurisdictions where vast amount of money has been invested in technology, but actually only a proportion of it was realised because they forgot the clinicians. So my urge is don't underestimate the business change that's going to be required to help support people with the tools that's needed and the confidence that's needed to convert that data into information that's used intelligently to drive better, safer interactions. And certainly, I'm based in Ireland, and we certainly have our challenges at the moment. And you'd think that we were using data all the time. Well, the data exists, but a lot of clinicians, I'm a clinician, and there are many of people like me in Ireland today who resist the scrutiny, resist using data because they consider it as a means of scrutiny in order to compare their performance. The whole messaging, the serious marketing, that this isn't about trying to catch people out, this is about better, safer, professional patient interactions by using the multiple sources of data to make that safer. So the business change of supporting people in an environment that isn't purely about scrutiny and comparability, it's about making it safer. So my urge is, however India chooses to do that, firstly, I would strongly advise that I'm sure you are already, and apologies if you are, you recognise it as a priority if you really want to head down this route, and you organise training facilities, education support that goes alongside the culture of organisations. And my final point is and as humans we are so bad at doing this in every country, use the skills and experience. You've got the best internationally in many different places in India, and no doubt you've got major challenges in many different places in India. So use the assets that you have as the collective, whatever sector, whatever markets it's in, to help other parts of India really drive through a buddy and a support mechanism. That's what I would suggest.
It's perfect. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to share something?
Everybody's fallen asleep.
This is surprising. So I think what we will then do is move to you. Okay. Please, please. Would request you to please introduce yourself and then...
This is Dr. Pratap Reddy, Chairman, Dhruva College of Management. This is rather a comment generally to the entire program. Surgery is a science, a wonderful science. If a surgeon is not artistic, he becomes a witch doctor. And with the technology abounding, teaching or whatever, especially in the morning I was hearing to a couple of professors talking about technology, too much of impending technology, teaching is losing its luster. Teaching after all is an art. And with the technology, the aura of a teacher is gone. Of course we agree, 1.2 billion people are there, we have got to educate, and technology is very important, but with this technology explosion, the teaching is losing that. Ultimately, again, as I said, too much of science or too much of technology, a surgeon without artistry becomes a witch doctor. Same way, a teacher
Professor
becomes...
Reddy, I think we totally agree with you and understand the point. In a country where we have to double the number of our doctors, treble our nurses, and increase by 4 times the number of paramedics, we need to find a way to maintain the art of education, but use information technology to transmit the art to a wide number of people. But we agree we should keep the personal touch into education. Thank you. There was a question at the back. I don't know if you've got a mic. Please.
I'm Air Commodore Arora, retired, Dr. HSR Arora. I really appreciate regarding the information given about data collection, linking and all. In Bangalore, when I was the CEO of Air Force Hospital, we looked into soldiers' data of 1810 onwards. Medical records, collected together what injuries in battlefield takes place, how he was managed. So this history goes even beyond that. So it exists in India, only thing we need to compile all these things together. Thank you.
You're absolutely right. Wonderful observation. Thank you. Also, which reminded me of another data point. We have a professor from Georgia University, Mr. Arun Rai, and he did a joint study with Professor Ganapati in a very small village in Tamil Nadu. Really small village. They don't have a grocery store. It's a really small village. This was his observation. But basically what they found was that not only did 65% of the population have access to a cell phone, but the beauty was that 20% of them were aware of the ability of the cell phone to help them in healthcare. And that we thought was a real revelation. So we're hoping that the university and the Telemedicine Foundation do more in using this telepresence or the teledensity towards